Hello there, it's Jay here from Jay's Vintage Junk, and today I thought we'd get back on with some of the customer returns lots, and I thought we'd have a look at this. Now, if you remember from a few videos back, we had another look at one of these, but it was the basic model that was just like an AM/FM radio. This is, I've showed this in the previous video, but this is the more advanced one, which has actually got a DAB radio built into it as well. And if you remember from that video, it's got a slightly interesting fault on it, as though it does actually appear to work, but we get no audio from it. But if we actually connect to an external amplifier or some headphones, it seems to work fine. I'll just show now. Got the power supply here. This is just a 5 volt, I think it's like 5 volt at, is it 1 amp, 1200 milliamps. We'll plug this in. Well, actually, I think we'll have to plug that in on the floor. It won't reach there. It's no problem. I've got a 4-way on the floor I can plug it into. There we go. That's better. So we can put some power up it. Yeah, that is the power hole. Making sure I was plugging it in the right hole then. And we switch on. Indeed, it does power up when the digital display comes on. It finds its time and date, but we get no audio out of it at all. You know, no matter how much we turn the volume up. Well, we've got to let it initialise first. This is why I don't like DAB. I mean, a proper radio, you switch it on and there it is, unless it's a valve and you have to let the valves warm up. But it warms up in a few seconds, and there you are. You're ready to play. This thing, you have to let it boot up. It can take a while as well, I've found, with playing with it. I don't know if all DABs are like this. I only have one other DAB radio I actually use, and that's the one I have in my... well, it's down on my boat at the moment, but I should really pull it off there. Because the reception down on the river is absolutely appalling. You can never get a good signal, so I never use it on FM. And I think I'll take not this, I'll take a vintage radio down from there. Oh, there we go. See, it's playing absolute radio now, but there's absolutely nothing coming out of it. I've got a powered speaker here, and I'll plug a powered speaker into the back. There we go. It does actually work. Volume works. So we should even be able to... see if we can change stations. Yeah. We can change the DAB stations, no problem. Oh, that one's not available. Service not available. Ah, we should have Radio 1. Yeah, there's Radio 1 playing. So anyway, let's disconnect that, and let's crack into it and see what we can find, because it's the most odd fault, that. Let's hope it's something really simple, like it's that switch in there could be faulty, couldn't it? And it's thinking that it's muted all the time. That's muting the speaker. I wonder if it's something as simple as that. Let's flatten it down. That one free. Yeah, but some of these screws are bloody tight as well. On here. On that. That's better. Some are looser than others. Remind me to collect all the screws up when I turn this over, or else I'll end up losing one. Not that's too much of a problem, because we've got all them spares out of that scrap that said it was scrap. We can scrap that. I did put all the screws away. It'll be interesting to see what difference we've got in the back of this compared with that other one as well, because there was very little in that. I wonder if this one's going to be the same. Right. We'll gently tip it up and we'll get all the screws out. Ooh. There we go, that's better. There we go, that's all the screws together, and hopefully we can get it. There we go. It's apart. Let's disconnect this this cable to the rear. And yeah, we've obviously got more in this than we had in the other one. Let's disconnect that cable there. Come on, out you come. How does it disconnect from it disconnects from that side there. Right. And a screw. So everything's different on this. Obviously we've got a different control board up there because it's got the LCD display on it. We've got a different board down here that just seems to have them two pots on it. Well, a switch and a I don't even think that's a pot, it's more like an encoder wheel because it doesn't stop at the end, it just keeps spinning round. And then this is our DAB section and amplifier and everything here. I don't spot any. No, this thing doesn't have a medium wave on it. It just has DAB and FM. Let's get this main module out and have a look at it. And I've found out what's wrong with it already. We don't even. I'll take that off to have a look at it. But this is just to show how basically how simple some of these faults can be. Can you see that? Literally, it's this. I don't know what the quality control's like, but basically, the speaker connection there has never actually ended up being soldered onto the tag. It was just lying loose in the case. So this is obviously not worked from day one from being bought, and that's how simple the fault is. I can't believe that. Shall we have a look underneath here? We'll have a quick look at the actual DAB circuit, what it looks like, and then we'll solder that back on. We'll put it. I'm just going to put it together. I'm not even going to do any testing, and we'll see if it works. Just find a better screwdriver because I'm struggling a bit with that one. Let's try this one. It needs slightly bigger screwdriver to get these out. Ah, that feels better. We're just doing this literally for curiosity's sake because that's got to be the fault. I mean, it worked fine through the headphone port, but was absolutely dead through the speaker, and no bloody wonder if the speaker wasn't actually physically connected to the circuit. But let's see how cheap and nasty this thing is. Obviously you can tell it's fairly cheap and nasty just looking at it from there, but I'm just curious to have a look what the DAB circuitry on this looks like. Ah, right, well that if it'll come off easily, we'll have a look. If not, then I'm afraid you're not seeing it. No, I'm sorry, you're not seeing it. Because basically what they've done is you've got the pot for the tuner, for the FM tuner, mounted right on the back of this board. And yeah, what I'd have to do is I'd have to pull the, I'd have to pull the front dial off, and I'd have to take the nut off and then pull it out from the back. And I'm not doing that just to have a quick look. Obviously if it doesn't work, then yeah, we will go in there, but I do need to get these done in a reasonable amount of time. So No, we won't do that. We'll solder that wire back on, we'll reassemble the thing, and we'll give it a try. Can't believe it must be that. I mean, that would be the obvious answer why it's not working, but I can't believe it's something that simple. That's not as though that wire's broken off, it's all nice and tinned, it's just never been soldered from day one. So I thought these things went through some kind of quality control process. I mean, you'd at least think they'd plug them in and switch them on at the end of the production line just to make sure they actually do fire up, but obviously not. Like I say, it's just never been soldered. Oh, hang on. Yes, it has, very, very poorly. I think it literally was just... You can see where it's snapped off. It must have just been touched on like that. And the solder wasn't proper, and then obviously it's pinged off. So, yeah, it probably did pass quality control. They probably switched it on, it worked, and then in transit, that wire, because it was so badly soldered, was pinged off. You can just see there where it used to be actually. Let me see if I can zoom in. I don't think I'll be able to zoom in to show you this quite perfectly, but we'll try. Oops. Can you see there? Can you see literally right on the end of the thing there? I think the wire was soldered on. It was just touching like that. And obviously it's broken off from that place there, so we'll resolder that properly. Come on, iron. It's this bloody lead-free solder, that's the problem. I hate this lead-free stuff. Get some proper lead on there. I'll turn my iron up a bit as well. Seeing we're dealing with that horrible leaded stuff. There we go. We'll add some good old-fashioned leaded solder. There we go. That's better. And we'll re-tin that wire up as well with some good old-fashioned leaded solder. There we are. Now when we reattach that, that should be a good joint. Little bit too much solder used on that, but you'd rather have too much than not enough. And that wire ain't going to come off there again. Right. We'll zoom you back out. So there we go. Hopefully, I can't think it could be anything else. I'm not, like I said, I'm not even going to try it before I reassemble it. We're just going to put it back together and plug it in and see what happens. Because that's got to be the fix, hasn't it? It can't be anything else. Well, of course, it could be something else, but I don't think so. I think that's what it was. Let's try and get in there. Click that in. Click that one in. There they go, they're in. Put it back on. Oops, I caught one in the feet there. Let's get that out. I'll use a little bit of glue on the back of them feet just to stick them back in place once I'm happy with the rest of the radio. These are like super cheap and plasticky. They really are. So they even consider, you know, even from the last iteration of the copies, these they're like a Bush TR-82 style of radio. These, which was a radio that came out in the Well, the TR-82 weren't even the first version of it. There was actually a valve version of it before then. I've got one somewhere. But the TR-82 was like the famous one. Then they brought another version of that out that had FM on. And then I said I think it was the late 1990s, they brought a revival version out with modern electronics in it. And now these are like, what could you call it, like a homage to them. They're sort of similar, they're a similar shape, but they're not even a patch on the remake ones. The remake ones we used to say were really crappy compared with the originals, but to be fair, they weren't bad really if you compared them to this. At least this has got the advantage that it's got a DAB tuner in there. The other one of these I have is just an AM/FM radio, and that really does look cheap and nasty. Is that all the screws? Oh, hang on. Hang on, I'm missing some screws there now. I haven't got any more on the bench, but I've got a hole there missing a screw. But the screw won't sit in it. You sometimes have this problem where the screw won't quite go in. And we've got one up there that's missing. That's gone in, I think. Let's try a different screwdriver. Go in, you little bugger. Ah, that's gone in this time. And I've spotted where I've dropped the other screw. It's on the floor. Let's try that this time. And it went straight in this time. Right. Shall we see whether it's going to play this time? I'm reasonably confident it will. Let's put some power up it and see. Let's power in it. It's come up if you look on there. Time not set. Set its time, set its date. Then we just have to wait for it to initialise. I'll put the aerial up, see if that makes life a bit easier for it, being it's digital and all that, and it can't cope with a weak signal. Let's see if it comes on. There we go. And there's still no audio. Oh dear. Is that with me being cocky? Let's try it on FM. That's with me being cocky, isn't it? Let's try it. Just make sure we've still got audio coming out the back. Yep. Try DAB again. But we unplug it, we're back to being dead. I said that's me with being overly cocky with it, thinking, oh no, it's just going to be that, it's just going to be back. Well, I'll quickly pause the video while I get back into this thing, and then we'll resume, seeing if we can find out what the hell's wrong with it. So back very shortly. Okay, we're back, and as you can see, I've got it open, and what I've done, I've took that little board off the back there, and I've just connected it up so we can actually apply power to it with the back open. Now, what I have just tried to do is to get the front dial off, because I was hoping I'd take that screw out so we could actually get that board out, because obviously I think we need to do that to actually fault find this thing further. The problem is, now the usual trick to getting them type of dials off is you take a piece of wire and pass it behind the back of the dial and then get hold of it and just ease the dial off. Now I was putting as much force as I dared on that dial and it wasn't for budging. If I pull any more I'm going to break it. So I've come up with another plan. What I'm going to do is I'm going to desolder the pot from the back there and then leave the pot on the board and just take the entire board off. I mean, obviously that'll mean that we can't tune the FM radio. But, I mean, if we get static on FM, and it won't affect DAB from working, because that doesn't use that pot at all, we can still make sure we can actually see if we can get the radio to function. But I think that's probably going to be our best bet. Because, like I say, if I try and pull that dial off, I'm certain I'm going to break it, and I don't have a spare. So, you know, with the curtains for... Well, I do have a spare. I could always whip it off that other radio, which isn't worth as much as this one, but it'd be a shame. We'll try it this way and see how we get on with it. Get the old solder sucker out and we'll just try desoldering these 3 points here. And then we'll take the screws out and we'll see if we can get that board off and we can see if we can have a look. I'll also say, serves me right that for being cocky and thinking, yeah, I'll fix it. What I should have done, as soon as I soldered that wire back, I should have tested it then. I shouldn't have just said, yeah, that's definitely the fault, we'll put it back together. So I've wasted 10 minutes there screwing it back together and then having to take it all apart again. Now, it would have only taken me a few seconds really to test it. Oh, this leaded solder this lead-free solder, sorry, is bloody awful. It doesn't want to flow like proper solder. Even when you get it hot, it kind of behaves like, I don't know, plastic. It's just disgustingly horrible stuff. What we'll do is we'll, now I've got most of it away, we'll flow in some proper leaded solder. And hopefully that'll make it easier to actually clean the hole out. There we go. Straight away with the leaded solder on there, that cleared out. Let's try again. We've got the vast majority. We'll try on this one. We'll just see if we can get the vast majority of the lead-free solder away. Oh, that's stuck on the end of my solder sucker. And then them two will add a little bit of proper leaded solder and we'll have a final suck. So that's a bit of leaded solder on there, same on that one. That's nice and clean. And we can go in with some pliers and just give them a quick whittle as well, but there we go. I'm a lot happy with that. Just get something in and make sure that them legs are completely free. Yeah, I'm happy with them. Right, let's get this board off and we can see what's going on. And with luck, we should just be able to manipulate it off them pins now. Yeah, there we go. We'll leave the pot nice and stable there. Now I presume this thing here on that little board is the actual DAB receiver. Looks like it. So there's virtually nothing on this side of the board apart from some electrolytic caps, which are all looking good order. I can't see any that are bulging up or swelling or anything. No obvious signs of leakage. Everything looks, well, this thing I think looks basically virtually new. Everything looks nice and tidy on there. That's not very good though. You see the speaker connections there? I don't think that's making a very good contact. I wonder what I think I'm going to do. I'm going to put power up it. I'm just going to see if we can get the radio on. And I'll see if we can just fiddle with them contacts and see if anything comes on. Like, the radio seems to be powering up. Obviously we can't use FM. Well, we could try FM I suppose, because it should make it hiss in the speaker if we get anything. I will try DAB, because DAB should work fine. I'll just turn it round just so I can see if I can program the DAB, see if we can get it on. We have to press standby, don't we? Right, so that should be BBC Radio 1 playing. Let's make sure we've got the volume up. That's the volume right up, and let's have a look at this connection, see if fiddling this connection we get anything. That doesn't look right, that. Doesn't look like the wires are connecting properly in there. You see, look. In fact, it doesn't even look like it's soldered on properly. Look, can you see? That's really poor. I wonder what we can do about that. Yeah. And there's our problem. Can you see there? I don't know if you can actually make this out, but we've got a dry joint on both of the speaker connections there. We just disconnect the power. So, let me try resoldering them quickly. This is bloody lead-free solder again. It's useless. Absolutely awful stuff. Let's try that one. And that one. So we've got that connection now. So that's not moving anymore. Now can we push that connect? Yes we can. We can push that connector right back in. Let's see if that'll connect properly now. See, that actually pushed in there now. It's a bit bent up, but that shouldn't matter. Let's see if we get if that makes any difference. Let's connect power to it again. And let it power up. Now that should be playing, but we're still not getting anything. And that connection's definitely made now. Yep, all the connections seem to be made alright. I wonder if that speaker's not working. We can try that. We can do that test that we did the other day on that other test speaker. So let's disconnect the power again. Let's find that clip lead that we had the other day. Here we are. And we'll just try. I mean, this won't damage anything. Even feeding this little back voltage through it won't cause any harm. It's only 1 volt. We'll just see if we can get the speaker to click. Yeah, so there's nothing wrong with the speaker itself. We just don't seem to be getting any audio. Now, I'm just going to check these electrolytics, make sure that they're all actually soldered in place properly. Seeing we've already had one component that wasn't connected properly. All these seem to be well soldered down. Now, unfortunately, none of them seem to be the issue. So where else could our problem lie? Now, both speaker connections go through this IC here. I can spot. It's only a single-sided board, this. So it's reasonably easy to trace. And we've got both speaker connections here, and you can trace them, and they both go to this IC here. Which I must admit, I can't see the designation on. I can't read it, it's too small. I'll have to get my magnifying glass out. So that's a possibility. We could have a fault there. This is one of the reasons why I don't particularly like working on modern electronics. It's all bloody surface mount. Everything on here is surface mount. We've just got a few through-hole components on it. So I can't even see what I would describe as an amplifier IC. I'd expect to find something. Well, then again, that's the same. That hasn't got anything that you'd really call an amplifier IC on it either. That's a scrap board out of one of the small ones, one of the basic model ones. It does have a similar IC on it, which is there, which unfortunately on this one's actually blown out completely. Yeah, that's the same part, I think, on this one, but it's actually got a hole blown in it, as well as that IC has a hole blown in it, because I'm pretty certain this got an over voltage to it, quite a serious over voltage by the look at like the damage on it. That's why that's never to work again. This is a weird one because we've found two faults which you'd expect just to be like factory style faults, you know, a dry joint and a wire that's come off. You'd expect just fixing them two would actually get it going again. Have we got another dry joint somewhere? Because I really don't like this solder. It's absolutely horrible stuff. Or do we have a dead IC there? We could have. It's weird that everything else, well, except the output, which comes from. Let's try and find it here. Fortunately, everything is quite well, actually quite well marked on here, which is nice. So we've got headphone left and headphone right. They're the outputs. And they seem to come from that IC there. Now we're going to be on diminishing returns with this thing. Do we keep the electronics out of it for another project? Because the DAB side of it works absolutely perfectly. The FM side of it works absolutely perfectly. I'm wondering if this thing could have a new life. Just looking at what faults we've got. Basically, the amplifier section doesn't work, but the FM radio section works nicely. The DAB section seems to work okay. I wonder if I could possibly do something with this and put it in another radio, build something round it, possibly involving valves. That's quite an interesting notion, actually, especially since I've now got two of them nice little 4-ohm speakers. And the DAB side of this, it gives them left and right out there. So it looks like it gives stereo output on FM and or at least on DAB. It possibly does on FM as well, because most of the modern FM decoder chips will decode FM stereo. So it'd be daft for them really not to, because it's basically using an all-in-one chip to do all the decoding. Rather than persevere trying to find the fault on this on a radio that I'll probably get a tenner for if I'm lucky, do we put it back together and possibly use the board out of it and use it to perhaps drive a little stereo valve amplifier? I've got an idea actually. Using some valve, it wouldn't be very loud, it'll only be a couple of watts per channel, which is going to be absolutely perfect for this. Yeah, I've got a new idea for him in my head with this one. Being the fact that it's not, I don't think it's going to be viably repairable yet. Sure, I can, it's probably, I'm guessing it's probably that IC there. I think it's a tiny little like half-watt amplifier IC. I'll look up the part number for it. I'm pretty sure that's what it is, and I'm pretty certain that'll be the issue, that's died. It could even be that wire there floating around, or even that dry joint there, has caused a little spike or something, if it has been playing, and that's popped the output audio output IC there. It's a horrible tiny little thing, but like I said, I will look up the part number on it, but I'm pretty certain that will be a audio output IC there. So it only has to drive, it's like half watt into yeah, that'd also explain why it's got both the positive and the negative going straight to that IC. Yeah, it's going to be the little audio output IC that, and that's probably what's failed. So we could probably get one, and it probably wouldn't be more than £1 or £2. But then there's the postage on top of that and what have you. So we're probably down for about £3 or £4 on a radio, which, like I said, 10 quid, maybe 15 quid on a really, really good day, when we could use all this electronics and build something sort of cool out of it, something really interesting and cool. I think that's going to be the way I'm going to go with this. I'm going to put this thing back together, and I think I'm going to use it to build something rather interesting out of. So yeah, I know it's not the way that we was expecting this to go. We was expecting just to get another working radio to sell out of it, but no, I'm going a different route with this. I'm just going to bang a couple of screws in it to hold it together. I've got a really, really cool idea what I'm going to do with that. In fact, I've got a couple of really cool ideas now. I've got a Pi radio that needs fully restoring. It's I think it's a Pi Continental, very late 1950s, possibly early 1960s radio, but it's actually, is it a Continental? I'm not actually sure, 100% sure which the model number it is, but it's actually a stereo radio. There's a mono radio, but it's got a stereo amplifier built into it. The idea was you could plug a stereo turntable in and play your stereo records through your radio. But I think it's got two EL84 single-ended, so it's good for about 5 watts or so per channel. No, that's not screwed in. EL84 output valves in it, so it should, like I said, a pair of them, 5 watts per channel, perhaps 4 watts per channel, something like that. It's gonna sound bloody nice. It's already got FM on it, but I wonder how much work it would be to perhaps incorporate that DAB tuner into it and have that. Or do I just build something completely myself? Like I said, I've got an idea using some old TV valves, which are quite nice used as for amplification. It's an ECL80. It only gives about a watt of output, but that's all you really need for a small radio. I might look at using a couple of them and doing something with them, because I've played with them in the past as audio valves. But anyway, yeah, like I say, it wasn't exactly the way I was planning to go with this project, but I think that's what we're going to do with this. It's going to get repurposed, and I'm going to use its DAB tuner to build something rather cool out of in a upcoming project. So that's what we're going to leave with this one. Like I said, I hope, no, it's perhaps not what you was expecting or hoping from the video, but sometimes, you know, you get inspired when you start repairing one of these things. You suddenly realise that it's not really going to be worth you spending too much time and effort on it, but there are other really cool things you can do. So I'm going to leave it there for now. I hope you enjoyed that little video. So thanks for watching and goodbye.